I'll be sharing with you today is the lessons I've gained from little experience I've had, and I hope it adds value to you. So to start with, I'll be speaking on grant writing and opportunities for doctoral students in Nigeria. Like brief introduction about myself, which have just been shared with us. So to start with, I just needed to give a quick information about what exactly is a PhD. All of us here, the people that are here from of course the meeting are doctoral students. So PhD program is basically, an advanced degree. It's called a terminal degree. And among the many things it does is it shapes the principle of commitment. It shapes in teamwork. It shapes in management in the individual. It's a period whereby a specific problem is developed and you are tasked with the responsibility to find an answer, to provide a solution, or to, give alternative ways of solving the problem. But the entirety of the PhD is that at the end of a PhD program, you are being developed into a philosopher, all right? So that's saying, now that being said, we need to see why is then a PhD connected with grants? What connects a PhD program with grants? Now, grants, as the case is, Section 1, my discussion will be shared in two sections, basically. First section is the grant writing. Then the second section is the opportunities. So grant is basically a connection between a donor and an innovator or an inventor or whatever. Now, you have the innovation, you have the idea, but you don't have the money. The investor or the donor has the funds, but doesn't have the technical know-how to conduct it. So there's a synergy between the both, and that is what actually the concept of grants is in the first place. So that being said, moving straight to the point, writing grant proposals is quite a lengthy discussion, and it involves a lot of things. But then, is basically how either a man proposes to a woman to marry her or a woman proposes to a man to marry him. Depends on the cultural context. But in essence, proposal is a request for financial assistance, all right? And that request is being made through a procedure. The person seeking the request could be a PhD student, which is the category of audience today, could be a researcher, could even be universities and industries. And the people and the donor now, which could be government agencies, charitable organizations, business individuals, private organizations, as the case might be. So there is this, the person making the proposal has an interest, the person giving the donation has an interest. So the congruence of that interest is what actually brings about the acceptance of that proposal, right? And that proposal is packaged as a document. So the person giving the donation has something he wants to achieve, all right? You also have you also have an interest. So both interests have to be considered. Now, in writing proposals, there are certain things I will share with us. Like I said, some few experiences I've gained in writing. In fact, interestingly, just yesterday, we just got one of our grants from one of the US agencies just yesterday. The trick is this: writing proposal is actually a skill that can be learned. Now, you see that the beautiful thing with the degree programs we run is that when someone passes through a degree program, especially when in advance to a postgraduate degree program, it is expected that you can learn anything. That's why banks can take a biochemist and metamorphose the person into, an accountant. It's assumed you can learn anything. And that is one of the things the myth I needed to break before we start. You can learn to write grants, you can write it, and you can win it. So if you don't have the proposal writing skill, the organization will not be able to obtain the funding. You yourself will not be able to obtain the funding. So what are the things, information in writing effective grant? Few things that are very common to every standard grant. Basically, the content. The content must demonstrate several features. The features must demonstrate the technicality of the individual. Are you technical enough? Are you sound enough to be able to conduct this? Do you understand the nitty-gritties? Do you understand the methods you are writing? And for those in, whether you are in sciences, in fact, even those in humanities management, you need to know that when you are composing a proposal in 2024, you can't be writing methods or materials or equipment that are outdated. The grant donors will assume you are not conversant with trend, because the donor may not even be in the panel of the people that will screen it. The people screening the proposals are usually experts. They are high experts that have, in that field. So they know what is trending. So you can't be writing a proposal as a social scientist and you are saying you want to use, Google form to collect information from people. That's outdated. That's primitive. There are more advanced tools that can be deployed. You can't be writing as a scientist, empirical scientist, you want to write a proposal and the technicalities you are writing instrument that are outdated. So demonstrating the science behind it, demonstrating the economic consideration behind it. You can't be over budgeting or under budgeting. You over budget, it will assume that you are not sincere. You under budget, it will be assumed you are not competent. That's what it means. All right. The social benefits. How is the connection between whatever you are writing and the societal impact of it? Every research is not geared. In fact, even basic research, you must add the translational component. What next? That's the question, right? So the social benefit, what's the social impact of that research? It must be inclusive. The criteria, the program criteria, the doctoral program criteria, there are quite a number of outlets that doctoral students can apply. I will share some of them in the course of the presentation. What the criteria, right? Addressing the funding agency's requirements. Do you meet the requirement? If they are stipulating certain things, I used to say that when you are writing grant proposal, you should understand that the call for expression of interest or the guidelines of the donor, you have to read it the way you read your Quran or the way you read your Bible. You have to really read in between lines to follow every detail that is being said. Because if they are asking you to draw to that in the course of the presentation, in writing the proposal, it's supposed to have maximum of 4 pages, and you're writing 5.5 pages, or you're writing 4.5 pages. That's automatic disqualification. All right. In fact, it won't even go to the technical aspect. From the clerical people who are screening it, they will screen it out straight away. So the language, the formatting, these are the things. I will talk about those things in little detail subsequently, but we just need to get them clear. The language. One of the what do you call it? One of the most irritating thing a grant writer will write is when you write with poor English, with grammatical error. It just gets everyone pissed off, no matter the technicality of what you are doing. The demonstration of the sustainability of the project. Yes, you are doing a doctoral program, but what happens when you finish? What's your plan? A donor will be excited to see, aside your societal impact, a donor will be interested to see how you are going to continue doing that. All right. So these are the things. How will you monitor the program? What are the budgeting? What are the administrative things? What are the features involved in it? These are the components that involve every standard grant proposal. So documentations, you are trying to sell your ideas, all right? You are trying to justify why your idea is good and can convince the donor. You can't be writing a project for, someone to give you a donation, and the person before you will apply, before you write any proposal, you must study your donor. You must study the individual. You must understand what the organization stands for. What do they fund? In fact, the first thing you do for every proposal that you write is to see whether you are eligible, whether you've met the basic requirement. All right. So to sell your idea, because you have to align your idea with the idea and the overall objective of that agency. All right. So What is a proposal, by the way? A proposal provides scientific, economic, societal benefit. A proposal must demonstrate high probability of success. And there are several parameters that are involved. That is why I'll talk about collaborations in times come. That is why you need to get the right team. Even as a student, I won several grants when I was doing my doctoral program, and there are quite a number of them. All right. That even in Nigeria, there are some you could explore, which I'll share some of them with us today. So it must address a strategic priority. Like I said, it must be consistent with research and development. There must be consistency. You must demonstrate you are conversant with what is happening. All right. And it must also show, especially when you are asked in the essay, that you really need the financial assistance to do this. It must be viable economically. You can't be writing a budget that, will demonstrate that it's something that can be done, even without fund. Why we write? It's expected sometimes deans, schools, chairs, non-governmental organizations could write. As a doctoral student, you are doing a project, especially when your project has some aspect to do with the community. You can be lucky that even because you need to see that aside from the traditional grants that are available, there are some, just like I mentioned earlier, there are some private individuals that will be very interested in giving you financial support. I mean, if you are performing an experiment, you are conducting an experiment, one of the things PhD will do to you is to get your mind open and exposed, right? Like I remember during my doctoral program, one of the grants I won, as at the time when the call was made, I was doing my coursework and my program was not yet structured. So I didn't really have a concrete idea to sell. So I could not submit it. But 2 years down the line or 3 years down the line, when I've done quite a number of experiments, I wrote like 5 publications at that time. So I submitted it, and the journal were asking for, for publication fees. So what I did was, I got from informations that the school, then the agency, that is the director of that grant, was making a complaint in a faculty meeting that students that were awarded that grant, the grant agency is expecting them to have some deliverables like publications, but none of the students is coming forward with any publication, and they had a meeting. Do you know what I did? That's the exposure. I quickly packaged, discussed with my PI, wrote a letter, and now forwarded it to the directorate that I've not gotten this grant when it was written, but I've done this, and it is in alignment with the project and all of that. Attached a proposal, which I've already finished, attached it, submitted it, and do you know what happened? I was awarded that grant. In fact, I was awarded the grant. The grant was released to my lab, my PI, and I was given the grant. The what came to me was the funding. They paid the entire open access fees for those publications. That's how it works. All right. So this is what it does. So you must see, if you are going to a particular community as a doctoral student, you have your thesis, and you go and you discover the community have this challenge and all of that. In fact, some of your donations can come from even the local government chairman, can be your first donor. Oh, you are doing this project and all of that. Okay, have this amount of money. If it can come in any way, the village head can be your intermediary between you. And so you must really, as doctoral student, especially in Nigeria, we must open your mind to these multiple opportunities. It gives you independence. It can be a good way to fund your graduate studies. I remember one of the grants I won during my master's project, my master's program. I did my master's at Ahmadu Bello University, Department of Crop Protection, under Professor Alao, Professor Alabi, Professor Zarafi. You heard me mentioning my mentors because I'm so proud of them. So when I was in my master's that time, there was this directorate in IR that was opened, and there were this Artemisia research and all. So I had information then that there was a particular disease that over the years, no one have really been able to pinpoint what exactly is the causal organism of this disease. and there have been different postulations and all of that. You know what I did? Then it wasn't even my idea because I didn't know. My professor, my major supervisor, Professor Alao, called me that and said, "Oh, Wadzani, we just have this problem. We just came from a meeting and this is the challenge. So I want you to begin to think. Let's think of something." By that time, we have already have a topic for my master's. So I picked up the challenge. I went, you know what happened? At the end of the day, I got funding from the institution for my master's, which is not in the it's not written anywhere in any book that master students are eligible for that grant. So this is one of the things you must open your mind to, right? Idea development. You must think like a researcher. Your mind must be open to opportunities. You don't box yourself and say, oh no, you have tons of excuses. My PI is not cooperative. My professor, she's supposed to be the one to assist me. Your mind must be open. You must find about funding opportunities within your micro environment. You can't, I'm waiting for NRF grant. I'm waiting for this donation. While you are thinking that big, look within your immediate environment. You are likely going to find that opportunities there abound, right? Sometimes I can give you a quick tip. There are some private persons, some non-governmental organizations who are within your neighborhood. Some of those NGOs are looking for people that will go and conduct some kind of technical surveys for them. You can be lucky to align your work may have some alignment with what they are doing. You write it and you will get it. So that's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, friends, my colleagues who are doing your doctoral students need to see. All right, deadlines. Some traditional, conventional grants have deadlines, so you must take note. You don't submit a grant, when the deadline is few days to approaching, then we start writing long before the deadline. Now, I remember there was a grant call I submitted when I just finished my PhD. I was returning back, and the grant was for doctoral students who have just graduated and are returning back to their home country. So I wrote the proposal, I remember. I scaled the first stage. The second stage, I was declined the award eventually. But the review committee wrote, and the chair of the directorate, it was in Italy, the funding was in Italy, they wrote back that they encouraged me to recast my proposal because one of the areas they pointed out was the fact that the sustainability was one of the issues, that I should improve it and submit it and resubmit it. But I should know that the resubmission, I'm only eligible to only one resubmission. So the following year now, I was to resubmit, but I looked at the timeline. I had those few weeks. I planned to submit it, then I kept postponing before I know time was already so close. So I realized that if I'm really going to do justice to this proposal, since I have a last opportunity to submit again, I won't really do well. So you know what I did? I just paused it and submitted it the following year. So that's one of the things you need to understand, right? You must understand, take your time. You don't rush proposals. No. A way I can put this to you that you would not forget, for those who are not married here, if you are going to make a proposal to a lady, as the case might be now, you can't be talking off your head. You can't stand and be saying, okay, I think that, will you marry me? I think that, no. At that time, every young man is packaging everything he has to deliver. All right. So that is the point here. So proposal should be well researched prior to submission. Open your mind. You don't keep your head locked. You must well research about the proposal. You must understand that this proposal you are submitting is your final document. There's no other document they are going to look at. That's the document. And believe me sincerely, those people screening your proposal, most often than not, just like how on this call now, there are over 700 participants, it will tell you that if a call is made, there will be, let's assume 700 participants submit call for proposal. And the panelists that are on this call are the people to screen the proposal. You do the mathematics. You will know how much each panelist will have candidates to screen. They don't have time to be reading your work in detail. At first glance, at the concept note, if you are not making sense there, most of the times they throw it off, just like our editors do with journal publication. So at the first instance, you must know that this is your final submission. All right. Now, your decisions must be based on documented fact. All successful proposals are based on some preliminary result. And that is one of the things I needed to say here. And that is why when you come into your doctoral program, the first phase, the moment, that's the counsel I gave in all the, several speaks organizations and platforms I've had the opportunity to speak to postgraduate students. That because a lot of students asked me, how did you do it? I was speaking with a group of persons 2 weeks ago in UK, how did you do it? Because like during my doctoral program, which lasted for about 4 years, I published 48 publications in that time. So a lot of people begin to ask, how did you do it? How did you do it? The trick is very simple. When you are coming in, the moment your thesis is being, you are already beginning to have a direction, the first thing you begin to do is to write a review paper. Yes, it helps you to fine-tune and to see what is trending, what is happening, what's going on, so that you won't go to be doing a research that have already been conducted. So in that way you are writing, that's where you come up with ideas, right? And you before you know what is happening, you'll be 10 times ahead of an average doctoral student. And when opportunity comes for submission of grants or access to opportunities, you'll be the quick to get. The principle of collaboration as a doctoral student, one of the things that you need to understand as a doctoral student is that the PhD program is not in a rat hole where you just get into it and you're all by yourself. No, you must open yourself to opportunities, open yourself to access. Some of you could be very fortunate to have supervisors that will be connecting you with their collaborators and beyond. You must open your mind. And that collaboration could come in. These are some of the benefits that comes here. All right. You maybe your research is in one line. You could decide to have a collaboration through your PI, through your institutions, right? Sharing skill, knowledge, techniques. And just like the distinguished professor that spoke before me talked about industry. When you are developing your proposal, you will not have now this. Let me say this as a quick tip now, right? This is the highest recognized, one of the prestigious body of deans, postgraduate schools in Nigeria. Let me say this very, very sincerely. You see, as a PhD student, you need to see that your proposal that you submitted in your PhD work, like the proposal you've submitted, especially when you've done proposal defense, that is going to be, how will I put it now? That is the line of intersection between you and the postgraduate school. The postgraduate school, if they are going to score you and give you the degree, is based on how you've been able to meet those things. Now, in addition to meeting those things, which will be strict too. So this is not a forum for me to talk about writing thesis and all of that. But I'm just trying to connect how this collaboration and grant writing is really going to come into your PhD work. This is how it's going to come in. You have the already streamlined PhD work that you and your professor have agreed on, objective 1, 2, 3. Now, you are going to write that. Now, in writing that, you understand that this is it. This is ABC you're supposed to do. In between the ABC, there are some other ideas that will come. Those other ideas, which, will be like, they are not into the core work itself, but they are separate, that eventually, if it succeeds, it can be incorporated. If it doesn't succeed, you are still safe. I don't know if you're getting what I'm trying to say. Now, let me give you a classical example. When I came for my PhD program, then the proposal I wrote, it was a fellowship. So I wrote the proposal, it came to the PI's lab. And the PI met me, said, well, this was a proposal you wrote and all of that. It's beautiful. But based on this, this is what we are going to do. That I need to think on this line. He wrote 2 different PhD theses. Okay, this one you work on this. We are going to look at that. Then this other component, you look at this. I'm not mentioning the detail because this is a large audience. So I looked at it. So he said I should go think 2-3 days and come back and think of which one I will eventually be doing. So I looked at it, went back, came back, studied a little and saw. So what I realized was that the first thesis is actually quite novel and interesting, but the second one looks very basic to me, which was what I could easily do with good networking in Nigeria. So why should I travel abroad and do that kind of work? But I realized that there's a way I could incorporate that second thesis in one of my objectives. Do you know what eventually happened? I did both projects. In fact, I did both and did additional work. So that is one of the things I'm trying to say. So one of the side studies that will be very related to your work is one of the ways you can also begin to think of accessing opportunities within your neighborhood, becoming foster linkages and collaboration. Why scientists collaborate. These are some of the policies with government and enhances mobility and some of the collaborations. Let me say this quick tip. Do you know, in fact, I've had quite a number of my friends, mentees, colleagues who have gotten these opportunities. Like if you go to like World Academy of Science and ICPC and some of those funding agencies' website, you will realize that they have what we call sandwich PhD program, whereby you are a PhD program in Nigeria, you can come to some international, whether in Pakistan, in China, in India, to come to do some aspect of your work, right? There are fellowships like that. Think about how to explore them. You know, some other ones, you can begin to do something interesting as a doctoral student. Fulbright is there, you have access to them. Then that's fellowship-wise. The second way is as a PhD student in Nigeria, you realize that this work you are doing is interesting. You can begin to send unsolicited emails to professors that are doing similar work and have funding. Maybe they are looking for PhD students, are looking for so. You are still a registered PhD student. You can seek for collaboration. Oh, professor, dear professor, so and so, very short, crisp email, right? I have this, I did this. I don't know if you'd be interested in me coming to learn from you or not. Just very crisp. And the PI6 sees you, this thing, and he sees very interesting, and he asks you to schedule a Zoom meeting. I can bet you 50% of the time you have gotten that professor's interest. You impress him or impress her. The next thing is he sends you an invitation letter from this team, and you come and you have 2-3 months exposure in that lab. I've seen it happen times and again. So that is one of the ways you can explore as a doctoral student in Nigeria. That's one, apart from the conventional fellowships you can do. And your professor, it will be very beautiful for you. So this is what collaboration does. When there is no collaboration, you see how the matrix is. It goes so low. But with international collaborations, because through those collaborations, you will have those professors giving you good insight. Seek for fellowship. One of the things I say is, as a doctoral student, you should try within the 3-4 years of your stay to look for an international exposure. I'm not an advocate of the Japa syndrome, but I'm a strong advocate of international exposure. Virtually most of our deans and professors that are here have had that, and they could tell it. So explore it. Travel awards are there. International conferences are there that are society-based. Some of those societies have travel grants. Look and begin to plan it. I remember during my PhD program, one of the travel grants I won, which was about £2,000 or so, I began to plan for that travel grant from the first time I came for my PhD. Like I researched all the necessary opportunities that are there. In fact, I remember I was coming from the airport. They picked me around 3 a.m. We're coming to the school. I was asking the senior student that picked me that what does it take to do a research that you can publish in Nature? Imagine how my mind was thinking from that time. So I began to ask some of my seniors their awards they won. And one of them told me that if you join the society, 2 years after the society, you've joined the society, you'll be eligible, if you sustain your membership, you'll be eligible to apply for £2,000 travel grant. So really, I began to plan towards it. The next thing I registered for, I think it was £50 or something. I registered for society. The next year, I renewed my membership. The third year, I applied and I got it. So that's some of the things you need to plan from onset. So international collaboration, these are one of the things it does to you. You see, in impact factor, it even affects greatly your impact factor. Funding opportunities that doctoral students in Nigeria could check to access. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, there are several of those. Either you encourage through your PI, you write it, or the NRF itself, you write it, or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, you could explore that. Rockefeller Foundation, Ford Foundation, Wellcome Trust, Royal Society. These are some of the opportunities This slide will be given to us, so you will have access to it and see them in detail. Charitable organization, which is one of the things I mentioned earlier. Open your understanding. You can work to an NGO. In fact, if the participants here are 700 doctoral students, and you decide that between now and the end of this year, you will look for non-governmental organizations within your environment, and you have a project that is related to what they are doing. Yes, they have their staff, they have their everything, but you have something that will be technical that will add them value. Because you don't go there begging for money. You go there as an expert. If you go there to explore opportunities, believe me sincerely, if 700 people, doctoral students on this call, decide to visit like 10 non-profit organizations, you are likely going to get a lot from, which is one of the take-homes you will remember this doctoral academy for. Try this and you will see it. Like, I'll just hear your good news. I'm on LinkedIn. I will hear, our professors here will hear your good news. That is how to do it. They have the funding. You could add a technical value to what they are doing, right? So some of the funding opportunities, EU framework, EU, Europe aid, country programs, different research councils, Association of Commonwealth of Universities. Your university is eligible, please explore. Whether it is travel grant, research visit, quite a number of them. National Science Foundation, International Foundation for Science, International Development Research Center, International Institute for Research and Development, German Research Foundation, quite a Nigerian National African Government Program, quite a number of them. What do you call it? You can look at trends. Look at trends. That's why, as a doctoral student, you must be very active, especially on LinkedIn, because that's where you see what is trending. I remember when, is it 2 weeks ago or so, the Minister of Communication or so was writing when they were planning to do an AI lecture or so on LinkedIn, and he wrote, this is going to be one of the things they're going to do and all of that. Someone commented in the comment section, like I saw the comment, someone commented on the comment section that with this thing, I can provide an AI app that can record the live session, and he wrote some things. Do you know, the minister replied to that comment and said this thing will get back to you. And you know what was happening? That young man got funding and he came and displayed. So be exposed, be open. You see opportunities. Distinguished professor who just spoke before me told us a lot of agencies, industries around, whether non-profit organizations, research institute within your domain, explore them, right? Steps to writing a proposal. Work backwards from submission deadline. How long to send or submission? How long to gain institutional approval? You may need some of them. Signatures, letters of support, your plan well ahead. So if you are going to see a call that is going to, the submission deadline is in August, by now you will have gone far in it. Copying and binding of several copies, online submissions, references, figures, some proposal that will require you to write, to draw figures and plan long ahead. That's the point I'm trying to write, to emphasize on these various steps. You plan long ahead. You don't plan with deadlines. No one wins grants by accident. No, you can, just like every other success thing, you can't succeed by accident. You can fail, but succeeding by accident doesn't happen. So you need to really take your time to plan long ahead. Steps to writing, total time, formality, informality. Submission dates depends, but you plan long ahead. Detailed content of a proposal, title, sometimes acronym, summary or concept note, background, justification, which is one, in fact, to be frank with you, these top three are one of the primary ones the referees will read and decide whether to read the detail, just like how editors read and access publications. Activities, which will entail the method, timing, very, very important. You can't be doing a doctoral program and you're writing a proposal that will take 10 years to conduct. No, it must be specific. The references, as much as possible, use updated references. Output, what's the output? What's the outcome? What are your milestones? How will you measure your progress in it? Exit strategy. What happens when you are done? What is your exit strategy? Previous experience. That's where your CV comes in. And this CV, as a doctoral student, you can develop your profile in that period. there are quite a number of opportunities with a simple Google search, especially with these trending AI tools. They will give you quite a number of opportunities that you can see, attend workshops, attend trainings, join webinars. Some of the courses you would, I remember during one of the professors I got in contact with was in one webinar. I remember I was a doctoral student. My fellowship then paid us some arrears, and so there was a grant, there was a what do you call it? There was this conference I saw that was to happen for 1 week in genomics and so in US. I wrote for appeal for discount. I kept writing discount from 2,000, is it 3,000 or so pounds? Dollars, they reduced it to $200 eventually. Very long email. So when they reduced it eventually and I joined, do you know I paid for that webinar? Yes, because the knowledge is there. Yeah, I'm going to gain knowledge, but I needed to meet someone in that class. That was my core aim. When I joined, the professor was there, wrote, and we became close. So that's how networking happens. So explore, building your profile, attend programs, courses, webinars, lectures that will help you. Project, be involved in publications, be involved in building your capacity. Project management are some of the features, monitoring, evaluation, budgeting. How realistic are your numbers? You can't be writing numbers. Like I said, when you over budget, it indicates you are not sincere. When you under budget, it indicates you are not competent. That's what it means. Justification, value, administrative information, any other specific information. Title, like I said, must be descriptive, catchy, and relevant to the donor's criteria. Summary, well-written, clear, crisp, 1 to 3 paragraphs, depends on the guidelines. Objective, what do you propose to do? Straight to the point, clear and crisp. The beauty of it, activities. How detailed are your activities? How detailed are your methodology? How technical are they? The detailed activities, sometimes you put them in a flow chart as this. Some other times you do it, depends on how you choose to state it. The output, what are going to be your output? Concrete deliverables, publications, database that you develop from it, tools and softwares, patents that might come from it. Those are some of the outputs you write that will draw your donor. Milestones, grant chart, which are developed by Henry Grant. These are your milestones, right? Grant chart, what are the milestones you are going to achieve? So that at a single glance, the donor has a clear view and interest in what you are doing, the logical framework. You must take time to start. Logical framework is a whole course on its own, but this is a summary of it. The overall objective, specific objective, expected result, activities in the logical framework. What's your monitoring and evaluation plan? How do you plan to monitor your progress? This component must be there. Some grants could stipulate it in clearly, but even if it's not stipulated, find a sentence to indicate how you're going to measure your progress. Proposal ideas. You don't assume that because a proposal satisfies one funding agency to satisfy others. Take your time. Every grant has its own unique specification. Exit strategy. How do you plan? What happens when you are done? All right. Sustainability of your proposal must be clearly stated. Budgeting. Like I said, increasingly, donors do not give 100% of the funding required to carry out research. They may contribute anywhere between 50 to 95%, as the case might be. So you must put that into consideration and all of it. So self-review, evaluation, take time, get your professor's PI, that's your co-supervisor that will help you look at it, to frame it, to get a better view of it. What affects success? Quality of your proposal, attention to detail, persuasiveness, responsiveness, riskness. Some research calls for proposal are strictly like, they are risk, they are high driven. So it needs that you are really conversant with your field to be able to think of something trending. Feasibility, reputation, track record, that's where your professors come into play. That's where those collaborators come into play. Existing facility support and all. Having a good idea is the bedrock, is the main thing here. Why a good idea? Sell the good idea. Convince them that you can deliver. 10 tips to writing fantastic grants and winning grants from the little experience I've heard. And the first thing is to establish a research gap. Know how to spot a research gap. There was one of the webinars I think I was invited to speak. I think it's over there on YouTube, where I talked about 25 types of research gap. There are 25 various types of research gap. Literally, there used to be 7, I took time to do a study and brought them down to 25. Theoretical gaps, methodological gaps, empirical gaps, temporal gaps, geographical gaps, historical gaps, interdisciplinary gaps, cultural gaps, policy relevance gaps, ethical gaps, technological gaps, knowledge translation gaps, scale magnitude, literature gaps, quite a number of them, and it covers all discipline. Find a research gap and spot in how you're going to address that gap. What's the take home? Come up with an idea from that gap. It's from the research gap that you come up with your idea of what you're going to write in the proposal. Then you begin to see in coming up with your ideas, what kind of idea, what kind of innovation? Is it an incremental innovation, disruptive innovation? Is it a radical innovation or an archaic innovation? You need to state to understand what kind of, and these are some of the strategies in conceptualizing novel innovations. The SWOT analysis, you need to really take that into consideration when you are going to conceptualize novel ideas, because novelty in every grant proposal is one of the important take home that determine whether you win or you lose. The Scamper technique and the thinking hat method. These are the things that you need to really put into consideration when writing it. The principle of brainstorming now, when you've seen a call for expression of interest and you want to explore it, your thoughts at that time, you and your PI or you and your lab mate, divergent or convergent thinking, brain writing, brain working. These are the things you need to see. Moving around the room to different brainstorming sessions to add and refine thought collectively, thinking outside the box, adding significant value to that. So first is choose the appropriate grant scheme. It's not all grants that you can apply for. Check if it fits you, it meets you. You realize I keep mentioning alignment between your interest, your proposal, and the donor's interest, right? Next is have the right team in place. Your PI is there. You can leverage on his or her profile. Collaborators are there. Leverage, because a PhD student, you may not have much profile as such. So leverage on it and build. I hear some PhD students say, well, I'm writing, why should my PI take the charge of he's determining who he acts, had quite a number of questions. So my PI is telling me that there's this collaborator, he wants to also involve in writing the publication so that they will be part of my paper. Your business is to get your paper. That's your main thing. And I used to give counsel to doctoral students. What is between you and your PI is the signature of the PI. So you do your best to keep that relationship and ensure that you do well, all right? Have the right team in place, clear rationale. Have your rationale to be clear and specific. Next is having well-defined goals and objectives. Your goals must be clear, your objectives must be well stated and very crisp to know what exactly you're trying to achieve. Taking cognizance of time, deadline for submission. You don't do late submission. Submit it at the first instance as early as possible. And you must remain focused in writing. Yes, in writing grant, in the midst of complexities of innovations and ideas, you may be tempted to write so many things to do. Write one major research question you want to address in it. Identifying effective supporting people. These are some of the tools, the persons, the individuals that will be of help in forming part of your distance. So providing detailed pricing in budgeting, like I talked about it earlier. Next is using visual aids. Sometimes some grants will require you to draw figures, charts to show them how the flow chart is going to be in the entire life cycle of the project. So you need to take notes and do that. Sell your work. Be confident of what you are writing. One of the messages my professors do tell me is you don't disqualify yourself. You do it. Let them disqualify you. Give it a shot. Shoot your shot. Section T opportunities for doctoral students in 2. 15 key opportunities, national and university research grant, research assistantship. University of Ibadan have that platform, teaching assistantship, professional conferences, workshop and seminars, career development program, postdoctoral fellowships, in internships, opportunities, minority fellowship. Quite a number of them are here. Like I said, the slide will be given to you so you have access to go open the website. You don't need, like these ones I mentioned now, somebody will now be asking, where is the link? A simple Google search would open the link to you and you see when those calls are opening, when they are going to close. Nigerian Institute for Medical Research, look at opportunities in those platforms. Check when they are going to open, plan it, bookmark it, and plan towards it. when you wake up and you realize you've succeeded, it means you've not been sleeping. When you fail to plan, you actually plan to fail. Failing is not difficult. You just don't need to plan. You will naturally fail. So plan ahead, right? And work towards it. These are some of the opportunities. African Academy of Science, Nigerian Academy of Science. They have some small grants that could, no matter how little that grant is, even if it is 100,000, somebody is giving 1,000, someone is giving you, that's a grant. And you know the beautiful thing, you're writing in your CV, you've won the grant. So they are listing people that have won grant, you are part of them. All right. So postdoctoral fellowship, African Oxford Initiatives, Alexander von Humboldt, these are opportunities that you get at the terminal end of your doctoral program. Most of the postdoctoral programs I got, fellowships, I got it while I was still a PhD student. So that's one of the things that happens to you. So these are some of the things, technological transfer program, women in STEM science grants, several of them that are here. Take time to explore them, Google them, open them, know when they are calling, know when they are going to close, right? Fulbright foreign student programs, public outreach and education programs, Science Communication Network, African Science, Nigerian Higher Education Foundation. These are some of the many opportunities that are accessible to every Nigerian student. So please, I listed quite a number of them. So please explore them when you get the slide and see. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This is all about me.
For this opportunity, and I want to sincerely appreciate the presenter, Dr. Wadzani, Dauda. He had really done very well with the presentation. And how I wish is here now. We have some few questions here that I will quickly want to run through. And one of the questions is, I know the dance secretary have been trying to, coordinator, I've been trying to attend to a few ones or some of the questions. We have quite a number of them that is asking whether they are going to receive the slide of the presentation. And I want to say, without missing word, that you are going to have it. And another question is, somebody is asking whether they are going to be certificated for this training. I know by my knowledge, the dance coordinator had already mentioned this before. I'm sure you are going to have your certificate for attending this or taking part in this work. Now, the question from some of the participants here is it possible for a doctoral student to apply for 2 grants at the same time? That is one. Is Dr. Wadzani there?
He will soon join us. He will soon join us back.
But I think, won't it be nice for us to just wait a bit for him to pick the questions and answer them?
Yeah, some of the questions can still, like the one you are raising, can still be answered by some eminent professors here.
Anybody here?
Professor Igboko is here.
Okay.
And the honorary secretary is here. The chairman, okay. The chairman of the committee is here. So we can still move on while he joins us.
Okay, that's fine. Then another question here. Akim Ayofe Akinwale was asking how many PhD students are currently participating in this workshop, compared with the number of available doctoral students in Nigerian universities. So that is the question. I know that will be answered. Then another person, Faith Ojetayo, asked, when it comes to collaboration, how do a doctoral student go about it to avoid being overwhelmed by the workload of having to pack too many manuscripts from different collaborators? So that is that. Another question by Adewale Bukola: is it possible and legal to sign 2 or more contract awards from different organizations for single research topic? That is from somebody. Okay. Another one, Olurotimi Adeleye. Can we write research grant purposely to fund publication charges or fees of research outputs already done or concluded? So he's asking if it is possible to write a research grant on pay charges for publications. Okay, I think we can stop there for now. Then before I continue.
Yeah. Okay. Dan coordinator.
With you.
Yes. May I speak on the question by Akim Ayofe Akinwale?
Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, he's asking how many PhD students are currently participating in this workshop compared with the number of available doctoral students in Nigerian universities. Of course, we all know that it's not easy to have all the doctoral students in Nigerian universities together in one webinar or workshop. So, like we said at the beginning, the Doctoral Academy of Nigeria, which is the brainchild of the Committee of Provost and Deans of postgraduate colleges and schools in Nigerian universities, started 3 years ago, and this is the 4th webinar. We hold 2 workshops every year and invite as many participants as we have invited this time around also to those workshops. At the 3rd workshop webinar, we had over 1,000 doctoral students participating. So we intend to go around all the universities and at least member universities and doctoral students gradually, one workshop at a time. So I think that the webinar that has about 800 persons participating is no mean feat. And so this workshop continues tomorrow also, and we expect as many participants as have participated today in that in tomorrow's workshop. So gradually, towards the end of the year, we're going to have another workshop, if I speak for the Dan coordinator.
You're right, ma'am.
As many participants as this. So, and to cap it all, the workshops of the Doctoral Academy of Nigeria and the CPD PGCS is pro bono, is free. Unlike, I just saw a similar workshop on grants writing that the conference fee was 500,000 naira. But here, no doctoral student, no doctoral supervisor has been charged a dime. Thank you very much.
Okay. Professor Lawa, if you permit me, I want this Akorede Jimoh to talk. So that will automatically make you a panelist. Akorede Jimoh, is it there?
I'm here. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, you can ask your question now.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity. All right. Another area I think we can look into is having this kind of a workshop at local level in our university, where we can have all the PhD students or PG students in attendance, so that we'll be able to disseminate information far and wide and make it more beneficial to this target audience. So that is my own thinking. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. It's noted. We will readdress it at the committee level again. I know the committee has actually instructed every university to localize the doctoral academy, and some universities are trying it. So let's hope that others will come and join soon. Simi, Angela, you are allowed to talk. Can you unmute yourself and speak now? Simi Angela, you can speak now. Yeah, please speak. Simi Angelina, you have the floor. Can you ask your question now?
Let us
Okay.
call another person, please.
Okay. Rukayat Oyegoke, can you speak now? Yeah, these are the people that raised their hands. So, sir, Dr. Wadzani is with us. Can you read one or two of the questions to him again so that he can speak?
Okay, Dr. Wadzani, you're welcome.
Thank you, sir. Sorry for network glitch.
Yeah, that is a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir.
But I want to say I've been in the series of your presentation,
Thank
AG
you, sir.
and so on. So I've been part of it severally, and I'm not really surprised at what you have given.
Thank
Some
you,
of the questions here by the participants is they were asking that, is it possible for a doctoral student to apply for grants in two different organizations with the same topic? That is one of the questions asked by one of the participants.
Okay.
Then there is another one. I'm trying to really bring them out here.
Okay.
And yeah. Okay, the precise question of that person as Adewale Bukola, is it possible or legal to sign two or more contract award from different organizations for single research topic? That is one. Now, another one is, when it comes to collaboration, how do a doctoral student go about it to avoid being overwhelmed by the workload of having to pack too many manuscripts from different collaborators? Then there is another one here. How can a doctoral student, particularly those with limited resources, strike a balance between acquiring grant writing experts and managing the workload effectively? I hope you got some of those questions right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now,
He may
the
respond.
other one by Folake Banjo. Can someone apply for two or more grants at the same time?
Okay.
Yeah, let's stop there first before we continue.
Thank you so much, Prof. And sincere apologies for the network glitch just went off. Yeah, the question about writing two grants on the same topic. Now, the risk with that, there will not be problem at the point of submission if the grant doesn't restrict that. Where there will be problem is, and it's not even advisable. I have not done that, to be sincere. But just in case it happens and you write the same proposal for two different agencies and two of them, you now get the grant. Obviously, you have to decline one because if by any means either of them get to know, you will have issues with ethics and all, you implicate yourself and all of it. So you can't receive two donations on the same project. If perchance you submitted two and you won it, then you have to understand that you have to just politely decline one. That's my advice. We have our academic mentors, professors that are here, so they may have some other more experienced talk on that. But that's my honest. I've never done that, and so advisably write a proposal for a specific call, right? And that is one. Two, on managing collaborations, like I said, you know, for a PhD student, you have timeline. You have quite a number of things in your timeline. You have your coursework period. Just this afternoon, I was going through my old pictures. I saw my picture when I was doing my PhD coursework. I remembered, I was looking so lean and all of that. So you have timelines, right? So you plan, you structure your program such that there's a phase where you are doing coursework. Then there's a phase where you're trying to get into your research. Then there's a phase where you are really into the research. Then there's another phase, which is the phase of the unknown, where you don't really know whether the research is going this way or going this way. Those are several phases. So in managing collaboration, like in paper writing or so, if it's not, one of the things I do is I structure my schedules. All right. I know that in these days of the week, this is when I'm writing papers in that line. In these days of the week, what I'm doing. So you balance and block time points in days on what you're going to do. Then, in case you are working, because most PhD students in Nigeria are working class, you have family and all of it. In case you can't manage it, please don't do it. That's my advice. If you know you can't manage it, you don't need to risk so many things. But I think managing writing review papers and all is what every doctoral student to do. So you don't stress your supervisor, all right? Someone said that I was defending that my supervisor was, the ideal thing is that at the end of the day, you should be more knowledgeable than your supervisor on that topic, because your professor has so many other students he's supervising. He has administrative things to do. So you are supposed to educate him at the end of your thesis on your thesis. So please, if you feel it's not what you can manage, please don't venture. But I think managing writing review papers, book chapters is what every PhD student should be able to do. With limited resources, how do you manage it? That's where the collaboration now comes into play, all right? And the main thing, like I emphasize, is take what you can handle. If you can't really handle it, now you should know that like my master's, I did my master's in Nigeria, my PhD outside Nigeria. But both of it, I realized that it's the same thing. If you are fortunate that you are a full-time doctoral student, awesome. If you are working class, fine. You just have to balance it. That's my advice. And what I do is I block days of the week and you collaborate with some labs. The collaboration can be in terms of any way. Some of them could decide collaboration to, it has different requirements to it. Your professor will help you to guide you, and you try to carry your supervisors along so that they can give an equal view and help you, so you don't go and get into. So 2 grants at the same time. Like I said, submitting 2 grants is not a problem. The problem comes in when you get it. All right. You write, let's say, for instance, your writing proposal and you get 2. You just have to choose one. That's my advice. Then I think I had somebody was asking a question when I just joined that can you write proposal for a grant or so, like my case for paying open access fee. Like I said, in my case, it was an exceptional case. There are fundings that have some of those provisions, right? There are some journals that have some of those calls for PhD students. MDPI, some of those journals used to have those platforms where if you write an essay or so, you submit your thesis progress report and they score it, they'll give you free to publish. So in my case, it was a unique case. I'm not sure, it's likely you may find them anyway, but because like Covenant University, which is where a distinguished professor just spoke from, they have a provision where they support their staff in publishing. I think Afeba Balola University, some universities have that, Nile or so. Some of them have those opportunities. So you can explore that. If you've written it through your supervisor and you front it and it's scaled through, that works for you. So that's my advice on that. I don't know if it's fine. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that response. We still have some few more questions. I don't know if I quickly just run through that. So
maybe we can add, Protos, let's just take 2 more. because of time.
Okay, 2 more.
Yes, sir.
Well, all right. If that is the case, let me start from here. I want to start from the rear because there are some funny questions here that I think we can just quickly look through. Okay. Okay, I want to ask this question on behalf of Anekan Udruzen from University of Uyo. I think having grant from 2 or more organizations for one project is possible, depending on the terms and the bringing in transparency. Okay, no, that's just a comment. Okay, what are the costs that we should include in the funding requests, and what are the costs that are not eligible? This is Isaac Bioman from Babcock University. He wanted to know, in the aspect of budgets, what are the things that should be there. Then there's another question from somebody that was asking that can they really be allowed to put allowances for the investigators from the budgets? But I know Dr. Wadzani will give answer to that. Many of them don't realize that there are different conditions that are attached to this. Then another question here. Please, what is the average minimum time required for a good grant to be written? That's another person. And the person tagged Dr. Wadzani. Thank you very much, Dr. Wadzani, for an extensive presentation on grant writing. Please, what is the average minimum time required for a good grant to be written? So that is another question.
Yeah, I said 2, sir. I think you have gone to 4.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you. Let's stop there. I'm sorry. Thank you.
So let Dr. Wadzani respond.
All right. Thank you so much, Prof. Sai. Deeply appreciate it, and thank you, distinguished. The questions are a lot. If I want to take questions, obviously, we'll spend the next 3 hours answering questions and all. And so first, on cost eligibility, the grant call will tell you what to write, what not to write. Yes. If there is provision, some grants have provisions for allowances. Like, I remember one of the grants I was writing, that was the grant we just got just yesterday. Some of the grants could tell you, you choose whether during the phase of the grant, you'll be collecting your salary, or you'll be collecting this, or you will be receiving your what do you call it, your allowance or so from the grant. They have that provision. And please, this is applicable especially for those who are in-service candidates. Now, in-service means you're a lecturer in university or you are working. So if it has that clause, you and I know that you will naturally pick the ones that they will pay you in dollars and all of that. But please, for ethical things and for transparency, you can't choose both. If it is stated that you have to forfeit either your salary or the grant, you have to choose one. You can't forfeit your salary and at the back end, you try to collect it. They get you and all, not even them getting you. Ethically, it's not right. So some grants have provisions. Some grants have provisions for, and I just want to make this appeal now to our distinguished professors that are here. You know, I don't keep mentioning the doctoral students as my colleagues because I feel we are all still together. Our distinguished mentors and professors that are here, some grants that some of you win, like some of those NRF grants and so, that have provision for providing of, what do you call it? Payment of the PhD student school fees and all. It would be great you please give them. I mean, it means a lot. So you could, and let me tell for the student how you will really explore that. When you see, like, let's say the NRF grant is coming or so, and your supervisor is to submit or so, you can decide to work with him and write it together. You can write it. He will help you. Your PI will fine-tune it for you. You win it, you automatically be eligible to what it entails. I'm not really even talking about the other international grant that will pay, that cover for the student expenses, allowances, right? And so So those ones have that opportunity. But when it is not given, you can't write it. When you write it, you automatically be disqualified. All right. Now, next is on, yes, cost eligibility. Some things they will tell you, I have not seen any grant call that didn't stipulate what is involved, what is not involved. They'll tell you the kind of items to buy. It must not be maximum of maybe $5,000 equipment. If it is strict to that, please keep to that. I remember one of the grants I applied for, the budget I wrote was exactly the grant budget. I was fortunate anyway. It doesn't really happen sometimes, but they wrote back to me that I was shortlisted, but my budget, I should bring it down. And I did it and we got it. So sometimes it happens. But sincerely speaking, most of the times, you try to write the budget to be a little bit below the benchmark. If the benchmark is 100 million, you can't be writing 100 million. No, 900 and something, 700 and something is cool. Average time for grant writing. The truth is, it depends on how available and how meticulous you are. But the rule of thumb is don't rush it. That's just the truth. If you know you can't, I remember an experience 3 weeks ago, someone wrote to me and all of that. We needed my input. Well, I looked at the timeline. We just have 3 weeks to that call. And the call needed the person to get institutional approval, register with SAM, register with this one and all of that. I looked at it, I said, well, even if we really start writing this proposal, you'll start it. I can bet you can't really do much because administrative things alone is enough to consume you. So the rule of thumb, like you saw the slide, the Doctoral Academy, they will forward the slide to the participant. I'll give you the slide. You check those links and try to monitor when they are opening. The moment they call, start preparing ahead and submit it. I don't know if I've added value to you with my feedbacks. Thank you.
You surely did. Thank you so very much. I think we just allow one person to speak here, and that is Adamu Rabiu. Adamu Rabiu, you may want to speak now.
Yes, good afternoon all. Good afternoon, professors. Doctor, my name is Adamu Rabiu from the Department of Mathematics, National Open University, sir. And sir, I have a privilege to attend your previous workshop, that is November last year, which is very enjoyable. We enjoyed the presentation as well as the certificate given to us. Sir, I want to ask the Mr. Presenter, Doctor, sir. Sir, is the grant allow a researcher or a PhD student assist more than 3 years, research, telephone, and among others? How can we manage the time bound? That is my question, sir. The time bound of the work of the grant. I thank you very much, Prof, for giving me this opportunity. My name is Adamu Rabiu from Open University, sir.
So can I answer directly, Prof?
Please go ahead, sir.
So Rabiu, thank you so much. Thanks for the compliment. Yes, it depends on you and your PI, right? And for me, if you are able to be involved in a project, especially if you are lucky, and you can stimulate your PIs to do that, you know, if you are lucky to be captured, your project is captured in a proposal. Let's say your PI wrote a proposal and you happen to be captured in that grant. I can tell you that's one of the beautiful things that will happen to you. Believe me, like you don't have issues with sourcing for you, literally just be floating, right? Those other avenues, like I mentioned, the trips you can explore on your own are fantastic. But unfortunately or fortunately, we have majorly telephone and all. But you can see the links I shared with you, and I'll try my best maybe within the week to send it to the secretariat. I'll try to see if I can expand the list. So there are quite a number of international ones that some of them may not be much. Some of them, okay, $5,000 for funding for equipment and all. You channel it through. If you get it, and your PhD program and the grant, the life cycle of the grant is, let's say, 4 years or 3 years or 2 years. Average life cycle of a PhD program depends, 3 to 4 years or thereabout. A lot of factors are there. So what will happen is that you are now boxed in to fit into that timeline. And please, when you get a grant, the rule of thumb, my belief is you overperform. Because when you overperform and you do give them more than what they're even looking for, you give more avenues for bigger ones. So if your PhD program is you've gone far and you've gotten the grant, you can even graduate from the PhD and still continue with the project. Yes, because the project is not tied. At the end of the day, your PI will just need to submit the final report that, okay, this candidate have graduated and all of that. So you can always fit into the life cycle of the project when you do that. Yeah, so thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wadzani. It's